Hello and welcome to the Avant-Art podcast. I'm Douglas Lane, author of books. I've written, here's one, a book called After the Saucers Landed. Also, head honcho here at Sublation Media, the film director and writer and editor behind The Last Election, which just yesterday was screened in London. We have a screening in New York coming up this next weekend, and I will put a description into how to get tickets to that in the show notes. I'll try to remember to do that. With me is Rudy Grieser. Go ahead.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm a state-trained actor, suffering bohemian in low-wage jobs, philosophy student, and would-be socialist.
All right. So we were going to continue our conversation about Zoomer comedy and the history of sketch comedy. And then the last moment I thought, we should put that off until we've really prepared something coherent around it. And instead let ourselves be truly incoherent and just discuss art broadly. What is art today? What is art under the conditions of modernity or industrial capitalism? What is art in the age of mechanical reproduction? We don't have to go through that whole essay, but just what are we trying to accomplish by discussing art, especially as socialists? I worry that there's a quiescence building in my turn towards art rather than politics, but on the other hand, it does seem necessary. So I thought I'd start with that observation and then ask you, because you've been reading towards the new manifesto with Xavier, to discuss or to tell me what you think a Marxist or Frankfurt School understanding of the significance of art might be.
Yes, that's a very big question. That I'm going to probably fail, but maybe that is my first.
You're not going to get a grade. It's
I know. Yeah, I try to remember my lines right now, Doug. Okay. We just spoke ahead of the conversation for everyone. We spoke about the acting show I saw, but this is not pertinent right now immediately. I think there is an aspect of failure intuitively to art, because it's about expressing something that evades expression in the clear delineation, where you can clearly delineate A to B. And so I think art is also a realm of a different understanding, experience of potential in society, and what our understanding of what is and what could be is expressed, displayed. In a sense, it's like objectification of ourselves, of our subjectivity, into up to a point where it cannot clearly be drawn back, right? You cannot, in an artistic piece, if you try to only describe the mechanical production of it and reproduction of it, it's not the same as with labor, right? In labor, in a certain sense, we can make out object and subject, even though very mediated. That's what we need theory for at a certain point. But in art, we can only theorize about the form, in a sense. The content we have to judge and interpret. So our judgment is the interpretation.
Right. Yeah, I'm reminded of a conversation I had with Benjamin Studebaker in the last stream about the movie Rain Man, and he was describing the ideological function of that movie, some of the messages in it, the moral lessons that we might glean from it, the unintended lessons that were in it. You know, it was a film about an autistic guy, man, and his brother, and
Mm.
so there were lots of social issues, you know, that were not being directly spoken about as social issues, but that were being expressed through the film. But I kept trying to point out that the most important thing in the movie wasn't that, but the acting that Tom Cruise managed to pull off,
Mhm.
and the the way uh, the subject was treated lightly, did not slip into sentimentality, and that there was an actual transformation in the protagonist from being kind of typical late 80s, greed is good, I'm a power broker,
Mhm.
pretty immune to everyone around me, I'm just focused on the deal kind of person, to being uh, having a human connection to his brother. But the thing about that, it was to say it that way is to obscure it,
Mhm.
because it wasn't as if he was simply a the acting job was such that he was simply a stereotypical hammy villain at the beginning, and it
Mhm.
wasn't as if he was good at the end. But rather there was just an objectification of our subjectivity. There was some sort of realism in his performance
Mhm.
that I thought needed to be taken up. But Studebaker was fairly skeptical of this. He thought, you know, and I ended up admitting maybe it was sentimentality to focus on that and not to see the ideological function of the piece. So, or not to emphasize it. I mean, I could certainly see it when it was pointed out to me.
Isn't to like only be preoccupied with the ideological function of it? Isn't that like an undialectical critique of ideology?
We'll say a little more about that.
I mean, what you're expressing is like an exploration of what it means to be good. I haven't seen the movie, right? So I'm in
Right.
this strategic position now where I can like just
Yeah, it's a
speculate.
movie. It's called Rain Man, and you know, it's like
Oh yeah.
1988. Have you
Okay, I
seen
didn't
Rain?
get catch the first. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know of it. I haven't seen it, but I know.
Hmm.
So isn't it like a exploration of what it means to be like what it means to be good and how that is bound up with morality, but it is not like a 0-1, right? Like it's not a binary proposition where it's like either
Right.
you're good or you're bad, but it's like in which way are you good? Like um is it enough, or are you losing something by being a successful business guy
Hmm.
where you necessarily have to be uncaring in certain respects?
Hmm.
And what are you losing, right? It's not, and also that like it's, I would say it's more like a metabolism where it's like what are you also like, what are you gaining, what are you losing by becoming more focused on your brother? Is it only humanity you're gaining? Are you less human before? Is Tom Cruise getting like the character of Tom Cruise, is he getting more human?
No, I
Mhm.
don't think he is getting more human as he goes along. I think he's just expressing his humanity differently. So he's getting more. He's getting access to his. Yeah, he's actually becoming more like himself throughout
Mhm.
the movie, um, and he's facing the world more honestly. But the humanity, what I think of being human, I think of the full spectrum, and I don't think that just because his reactions were to the world were more self-involved, maybe in the beginning, it doesn't mean that that wasn't a human response. I feel like that humanity was in there all along, and it was a complicated humanity all till the end. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene at the end where he's saying goodbye to his brother. His brother's autistic, and he just doesn't get the recognition. The goodbye. He gets it, but not in a way that holds the significance that it's having for him. And he has to deal. You can see him kind of process that this is going to be that kind of relationship forever. Like this is
so it's a movie about maturity.
Yeah.
So it's about maturing to like accept, what is it? Common unhappiness.
Yes.
And be like, this will very much hurt probably every time. But the blunt force of it, like the sharp twist, will get dollar.
Right. Right.
And that's also like an aspect of his subjectivity.
And the maturity,
realizing is making it dollar.
And maturity is not. I think sometimes it's easy to think that maturity is the same thing as conformity. Like you learn to accept everyday misery, and that means that you won't challenge the system, or you won't risk things, and that there's a saying. It's like, God give me the courage to change the things I can, and the patience to accept the things that I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that always struck me as conformist. Like, maybe the things you think you can't change, you can. What passes as wisdom is often ideology. But in the case of his relationship with Dustin Hoffman in the movie Rain Man, he had to have the wisdom to accept the things he couldn't change, and the courage to change the things he could. Like, he could actually have a better relationship with his brother. He could have a relationship with his brother, but he had to do that. He had to accept what wasn't seemingly changeable, at least immediately, in his brother. And and be willing to change just what it meant for him to have a relationship. Like, what did he need?
I would say maturity is about like being aware of your reactivity, and not just like taking, because that's, I think, another type of conformism, to hypothesize your reactivity.
Right.
Be like, that's just the way I am, right? So that's what maturing is about for me. And I would say that connects to the part about like ideology that I wanted to make. And I haven't listened yet, had time to listen to the conversation with Ben, right? But maybe he made a more sophisticated point. But I would say ideology is nevertheless doing something. It doesn't only have the side of breakdown or illusionizing us. It also has the aspect of expressing something, even if it's in its false form. Maybe to tie it to Adorno and Horkheimer, right? That's why he's not just against jazz.
Right.
He's interrogating why a certain form of art, a certain form of music, is expressing the promise of music, which I would say is individuation in communion, and why that is degenerating in certain respects. So it's more about, I would say, if I'd say it like a little bit blunt, but I'm losing something with that, but bluntly put, it's like, it's a question about the container. And of course, that involves the content, but it's not just that, like, that would be Fichtean to say, like, it's like thesis, antithesis, synthesis.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they have a like equivalent interplay and then a result comes out. But I
Right.
would say the question of form and content is intermingled in each other. And depending of what perspective you take on it, you will have insights into different aspects of it.
Right. So, okay, now I want to talk about avant-garde art, the form
Mhm,
of avant-garde
mhm,
art, because often enough there is a formula for avant-garde art as well. There are certain techniques that are used again and again. I do it. There's the montage technique.
mhm,
There's long, slow takes. There's discontinuities. There's sometimes the insertion of nonsense. You know, um,
mhm,
uh, the one of the like Brecht is kind of defines a certain vulgarized Brecht defines the
mhm,
avant-garde as like the refusal of identification from the audience and immersion in the story is a
mhm,
avant-garde technique. Um, and so the difficulty I think we have today is most of those approaches have been fully incorporated into uh, normal, mechanical, industrial
mhm.
production of art, and um, they there's a way in which they create an identity for the audience that isn't maybe with any protagonist, but with the artist or a certain demographic or sect
Mhm,
of people, so that you don't just feel separated from the story so that you can reflect upon it, but you feel separated from the life that's generating the story so that you can stand above it, feel immune to the effects of variety of forms of ideology, and maintain whatever your current opinions, subjectivity
mhm.
are happens to be. And it's usually like, petit bourgeois, educated,
Yeah.
somewhat refined, pseudo refined sensibility.
Mhm.
Um, so that isn't to say that I am against avant-garde art. I'm just noticing that it's sort of regressed. It's become another category, another
It
kind
has
of
become
commodity.
kitsch itself,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the whole relation we're talking about, that is happening through time as we
Hmm.
move through history. So it's possible that what was very groundbreaking in like Brechtian theater was made way more adequate to social reality, and maybe even less adequate to social reality, which could also be the case, right?
Hmm.
That avant-garde, like these techniques are so we are so used to these techniques and seeing them, and less capable of appreciating the formal aspect of them, which is
Right.
both on the side of the producer as well as on the side of the consumer, right? Both, in a sense, degrade. And so you
Hmm.
get like in a sense, like the rear guard action of moving into kitsch, where it's
Hmm.
like you need like people giving money and all the uh, funding money from the state in Europe, because they feel like there's the necessity to manage the culture in this forward-looking way.
Hmm.
So the hard question for avant-garde artists is, why does nobody the fuck care? as well as would something change? That's the tricky question. The next, because it has two aspects for me. And should we even care about if someone cares?
Right. Well, the other possibility is that you make something that you think is avant-garde art and that it becomes mass culture.
Yeah.
And when so success becomes a problem as much as failure does. Although I do think that there's quite a bit more opportunity in success than an absolute failure.
Yeah.
And some of all the artists who I know and admire were successful on some level.
Hmm.
Uh, even if they become obscure, they reached me somehow. So,
Okay. Yeah, okay. Now I understand. Would you say Guy Debord, what is the success of Guy Debord?
well, Guy Debord wasn't an artist primarily. He was a filmmaker, but he was so Guy Debord. I wouldn't say that as an artist he was successful. Like I didn't watch Society of Spectacle and I wasn't moved by it. I didn't respond to it that way. It did influence the way I make films for sure, but it didn't. But it was only through reading and reading his work, reading other people, and becoming politically committed to some sort of left Marxist anarchism that I could then appreciate Guy Debord's film, but probably fairly wrongly. Like I don't think I did because Chris Catrone pointed out to me that Society of Spectacles is funny, and I never saw it as funny at all. I was just like, oh, serious, somber. Take in the wisdom and the radical message, and it's like he's making jokes throughout that film, and so if I didn't really see that, I don't know if I could still see it. I mean, if I allowed myself to view it again, with that in mind, I might see the jokes. I mean, there's some obvious jokes just in the juxtaposition of images, but also you kind of have to know, I think the media culture of that moment fairly well to catch some of the jokes and things like that. But yeah, but I would say, like, for me, a successful avant-garde artist that influenced me, it would be Laurie Anderson, who do you know her work? Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'll run a very short clip of Laurie Anderson here, because she was a musician and a performance artist, and she still is, actually. I saw her live.
And she is sentimental.
She's a little sentimental. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, less so in the earlier days, but but yeah, now I think she's too sentimental. There's a kind of new age quality to her work.
I wanted to provoke something when we would watch the clip.
Yeah,
with taking a strong stance and being like sentimental.
Yeah, but this is her breakout hit. We'll watch a couple of seconds of it. Not the whole thing. This is what put her on the charts and the Billboard charts.
Oh, Superman. Oh, John. Oh, Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad. Oh, Superman. Oh, John. Oh, Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad. not home right now, but if you want to leave a message, just start talking at the sound of the tone.
There was
All
a
right.
red fist hidden in that clip. See if you can spot it, everyone.
Right. So
She played with that, right? I think that's on purpose.
for sure. Yeah. No, she played with that for sure.
When did this come out?
1981, I think.
Yeah.
Let me double check that. Have you ever seen that before?
Not this clip of her, no.
Yeah. So yeah, that was her biggest hit, if you can imagine. That actually played on the radio.
It's a good pop song.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
what
I mean with sentimentality, right? Of course, she's using like artificial or like more abstract forms or like harder to reach forms, because she's doing the whole like vocoder thing before vocoder. I think, but that already came out from like the hippies, because they did that with pedals, I think, right? To like use electric guitars to also.
Right. Well, there was concrete music. There was a Fluxus movement. That used to change instruments, and we're trying to break down the barrier between art in real life and the artist and the audience, and they had like happenings. So she comes out of the Fluxus performance art tradition, but updated for the digital age in 1981.
Yeah.
Computerized. Computerized. And at a time when not everything was, and so, and I was 10 when that was a hit, and I wasn't until I was about 13 that I actually discovered her. But why would at the age of 13 would that hit me? Because it must have been adequate in some way to my experience at the time, living in the shadow of NORAD, growing up under Ronald Reagan.
It's comforting. It touches me too, right? I think that's very important to say, that like when we have these like avant-garde sentimentality kitsch conversations, it's not like, that's what I meant with ideology critique. It's not like it isn't doing something to me, and it isn't like she's not expressed. She is expressing something, right? There's a comforting, friendly quality to the whole thing.
Right. And she's mixing this very alienating, computerized aesthetic, which I think she would identify with the neoliberal. I mean, I don't know if she would use the term neoliberal, but neoliberal capitalist order. Yeah. And there's lines in it like, here comes the planes. They're American planes, made in America, smoking or non-smoking. But the American planes are military planes, and then there are commercial planes, and then But and then she's talking about her mom and dad, and then one of the messages that she gets on her answering machine. There's no answering machine, but she recites it as a message. Is like, "Hi, this is your mother speaking. When are you coming home?" So this is sort of personal and universally personal dynamic to expression in it, and then there's also the recognition of the machine world that we're beginning to live in.
It's like a poetic diary entry. It's like the style of her lyrics, and the voice, like, okay, as someone who's like super amateurish about music, but who likes beats as an artist too, I like rhythm. So she's building up a beat, right? It's like ha 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 ha. So she's like the classically that would be like the rhythm section in the opera, in the orchestra, would be how you develop that beat.
Right.
But if we listen to classical music, like Mozart, and to plug a little bit there, we will speak in the future with a Wagnerian, so we can get more into that at that point. But they would play more with the beat, right?
Right.
But with her, it's like the machinic, it's the factory.
Yes, and
Right?
let's just look another moment or two of this, because this is towards the end of the piece. 8 minute 27 seconds of the song, and here's some more of it. So that beat doesn't change.
Yeah.
For 8 minutes and 27 seconds, it's the same loop the whole way through.
But it gets creepy at the end.
Yeah.
That's like the most forward-looking thing, I would say, for me. There's a certain point, where it's like the rest, like I would say, like the whole cloth she builds, and her whole, like, I don't know if she's from New York, but like, I'm a New Yorker artist.
Yeah, she's from
Right?
New York. She's from the New York Fluxus.
Okay,
yeah.
so my
Totally.
intuition is correct. So I'm a New Yorker girl, and like I can take you to the nice bars.
Yeah, she definitely could.
You some
Yeah.
recite you some nice poetry, and then it turns into this like ominous. It gets an ominous quality that the beat keeps going, almost like she dies.
Well, we'd have to see it a bit more than that, but I'll accept that. Certainly, the music becomes more layered and filled with hooks, and it dominates more as things conclude. It's not her voice, but the background machine music is dominating more. But let's talk a little bit about New York for a moment, because lately, and I know I'm really late to the party here, but there's a YouTuber who does something called Subway Takes. Have you seen these?
Yeah.
He's
With
holding a
card,
Metro card,
right?
Yeah, holding the Metro card. We may have discussed him before, and he always it goes like this. Like, all right, Rudy, what's your take?
Yeah, I know. And then it's just like,
you're like, I think people should stop drinking so much water. And he'll go, 100% disagree. And and they're on the subway. And I've decided I enjoy these, and there's something charming about them, and they're also something that does strike me as kind of a throwback in a way to the 20th century.
Letterman.
There's a New York sensibility that I identify with for sure. Right. And so it's so obviously there's a New York because it's on the New York subway, and it's there, and there's a life force to that is
sometimes he travels to Berlin and does it in Berlin too.
Oh, does he? Okay,
I think so. I will check, but I think like because I picked up some, of course, the algorithm gives me the German content, right? And I listen to the German accent. I think it is because Berlin, it is very Berlin. It's like you would take the train from Berlin to New York.
Right. So what is it the Berlin or New York or any one of these cities that can be romanticized? I think you can do it with almost any major city, even the ones that aren't that appealing, really, like Denver or Chicago. What is the promise there? It's a promise of a way of life. It's not like it's not like in Rain Man where you're being made to identify with a a particular protagonist who goes through a process of maturing, and has this interesting and heartfelt and some very funny experience. But it's like you're being sold a kind of sensibility when you are watching movies or television shows or YouTube videos that seem to be in some way about urban life in New York and celebratory of urban life in New York, which is what that is. I mean, what's good about that, the subway takes, is not the takes. The takes are inane, right?
It's the whole.
Yeah, it's
guys with sunglasses sitting in the metro in fur coats, right?
Right. Yeah, and all the people around them, sometimes homeless people, sometimes old grizzled men, sometimes beautiful starlets, and they're all there on the subway train. And this kind of life of being mixed together and pressed together and dragged through this somewhat smelly old city, and it's like if you ever seen the film Man with a Movie Camera, there's that's the appeal of New York City. That's the appeal of any of these major cities that you can romanticize.
But it's like a repeat. Life. It's like a repeat.
No, I know.
Right? No, but because I just thought like my roundabout way with like a bit of a detour would be I was very like disappointed when I started circulating in artist circles and being there with them and realizing how flat it often was. Like the eccentricity, right? Like the promise of the subway takes, I interpreted as you feel like you're there with these guys. Right? It's filmed in this way. You can imagine yourself sitting across from them and be like, oh yeah, I agree with that. Or being like, right? Or you're putting in your own take.
Right.
But it's more the allure of like beat poetry, William S. Burroughs. You sit in a bar coming out of the speakeasies, and it's very dingy.
Right.
And you can drink absinthe for the first time in your life. And snort cocaine. Maybe some guy will share with you. And then they will grab a huge novel and be like, this was never published, but I wrote it in Alaska.
Right.
And then they read it to you and you have like a spiritual awakening.
Yes. Did that happen to you? But when you went, it wasn't there?
No, it was very much, of course, there were some like weird stuff with sex because it's in Berlin and these circles, it's connected to like in my generation, weird sex practices and drugs. But it felt very empty. It was not something of substance. The guy with the novel, he never showed up.
Well,
and sometimes,
I have to pause you because I'm being paid.
Yes.
I'm going to pause this, so we're not going to have to cut anything. Here we go. All right. So you were just telling me how when you went to Berlin, I guess, to be in these art circles.
Yeah, or if I met people in Vienna, or I was at some party or some exhibition. Yeah.
Well, I wonder if things have changed a lot or just a little, or if I would have said the same thing that you're saying when I was 30 about the scene that I was in, 5 years earlier. But I will say from my position now, I look back on my early 20s when I first arrived in Portland, and I was living right next to the university, and going to this place called the Telecafe every day where you could smoke inside and there was a phone on every table. And it was a mix of students, but also everyday working class people, like a postman or some woman who worked downtown. But they were all a little bohemian. I met a man who told me he was a monk and challenged me to play chess. But he didn't tell me what order he was from, and he looked like he might be homeless, but he said, no, I'm a monk. I'm a some sort of monk. And then he told me, and then we played chess, and he would usually win. And then he told me that the secret about me was I was actually an android, and that I should learn to recognize this about myself. But we were friends after. I mean, it's not. I didn't get like I didn't. I don't think I am an android. Maybe I am an android. And and yeah, he went with my ex-wife when she was just my girlfriend. He was like an old man. He was like my age or older at the time, and he went with her to see the movie Aladdin in the theater with her.
That's cool, man.
And then told her after the movie, he's like, that movie was filled with subliminal sexual messages.
Of course. for him it was.
Sure, yeah. So that's the kind of stuff that was going on. And I met friends, through that cafe and through the university. But when I would go to parties for people who were in Portland publishing, I don't know if it was flat. I just always felt like I was being ignored because I hadn't really accomplished anything. And, I was just
that's part of it, right? It's like the whole social capital. Who are you? The whole arrogance. I would say, I think these places are probably still there to some degree. Maybe it's harder to find them. And maybe that is a generational shift because you can hide better in the internet and be a recluse. But I think from my life experience, it's just like when I would walk through a city, it would not be as easy to find these places. And they were much more like the left did their share in cleaning these places up. Like that's what I know from Cologne. It was like the whole speech policing, right? Like the whole the beginnings of the shift of the millennial left to the whole identity politics again, which never really left.
Look, I worked in politics in the 90s. I went door to door for a Democratic Party PIRG, Public Interest Research Group, and I met people who wanted to burn Bret Easton Ellis's book American Psycho, and and for left-wing reasons, feminist reasons, and all that. But that wasn't the dominant culture, and actually, because it wasn't the dominant culture, even those people had a touch of bohemianism to them. They might smoke pot or what have you, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't. It probably is harder to find a place like the Telecafe. It is now, here in Portland. But on the other hand, I'm not 20. So
I mean, why are these guys like these dark enlightenment guys and like one dime, like these peppermint, I want to make fart jokes and elevate it into an art form, which some of them do. There's this one guy that I think does interesting art with it because he's expressing this deep hate for everything, but sublimating it into a joke, which is very interesting. I mean, why are they getting together in like sects and have to like reach out to each other across England through Substack and be like, we are the Dark Enlightenment, we are the artists for reactionary content. I mean, the reason for it is that there's less breathing room. I think I have certainly felt that. Like,
yeah, well, on the one hand, there's less breathing room in everyday life, but on the other hand, there's more space for to find people who think like you. There's more diversity of at least seemingly a more diversity of ideas, and also an ability to create connections across those spaces. I couldn't, do that when I was 20. I could by the time I was 23 through Usenet, but it wasn't the same as it is now. But
that's true. We couldn't have this conversation.
Right.
That's true.
right? So it's like it's you might, if we had been both in Portland or both in Berlin or Vienna and we met, we could have had this conversation, right? But it would, but we wouldn't have had it as regularly. It wouldn't have been on a schedule. So there are benefits to this moment as well.
Maybe it was also more common to be like, hey, you should meet this guy.
Yeah.
Right? That's like, it all has its drawbacks. Of course, I agree that there is a potential in the whole like media stuff, internet. But at the same time, something else got not lost, but I would say pushed into the back. It's very, very hard to like punch through the whole onslaught of information, especially in like art circles where it seems like you have to keep up with all the shit, which often is kind of the same stuff in a different dressing, I'd say.
Well, speaking of the same stuff in a different dressing, to go back to Subway Takes, I watched a little clip of them. I think it was, I don't remember who he was talking to, but it might have been Ethan Hawke. And he was saying to him, the interviewer said, it was Ethan Hawke, because they were talking about Ethan Hawke's movie Before Sunrise, which I don't know if you know that movie, but it's about a couple who fall in love while traveling across Europe on train, and then they stop. I think I can't remember what city they stop in. I should know, but I think it's Vienna maybe. And they spend the day there together, and they just walk around talking to each other, and they kind of fall in love, and then they go to sleep in the park, and they have sex in the park. But it's not like you see that exactly, but that's what's going to go on. And then anyway, but it's a very talky, dialogue-driven, scenic movie. There's no action, as they've said in the Subway Takes video. There's no car crashes. Nobody takes their top off. Nobody pulls a gun. And they mentioned My Dinner with Andre, which is this 1980, I think, movie. And the host of Subway Takes says, I look back at that movie and I think it was like maybe the first podcast, just two guys talking. And I thought about that. I said, but most podcasts wouldn't be referred to 40 years later or 46 years later, and there's something going on in My Dinner with Andre that, even though if you just look at the literal ideas, they're not the most advanced ideas of the time. And there's a superficiality, or it's not a superficiality. It is an expression of the symptoms of the time amongst the intellectual class, that they're not discussing things in a way that I think would be actually serious. But it passed for a very serious conversation for me when I was 12 or 15, and even for the longest time, I read the script for it, and I've seen it multiple times. But there's something going on in this film that where there's an attempt at a conversation that matters between two friends that is not there in Subway Takes.
Yeah.
Right. And here, I'm going to show a little clip from My Dinner with Andre.
Well, why do you think that is? I mean, why is that? I mean, is it just because people are lazy today, or they're bored? I mean, are we just like bored, spoiled children who've just been lying in the bathtub all day, just playing with their plastic duck, and now they're just thinking, well, what can I do? Okay, yes, we are bored. We're all bored now.
But has it ever occurred to you, Wally, that the process that creates this boredom that we see in the world now may very well be a self-perpetuating, unconscious form of brainwashing created by a world totalitarian government based on money, and that all of this is much more dangerous than one thinks? And it's not just a question of individual survival, Wally, but that somebody who's bored is asleep, and somebody who's asleep will not say no? See, I keep meeting these people. I mean, just a few days ago, I met this man whom I greatly admire. He's a Swedish physicist, Gustav Bjornstrand, and he told me that he no longer watches television, he doesn't read newspapers, and he doesn't read magazines. He's completely cut them out of his life because he really does feel that we're living in some kind of Orwellian nightmare now, and that everything that you hear now contributes to turning you into a robot. And when I was at Findhorn, I met this extraordinary English tree expert who had devoted his life to saving trees. Just got back from Washington, lobbying to save the redwoods. He's 84 years old. He always travels with a backpack because he never knows where he's going to be tomorrow. And when I met him at Findhorn, he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "New York." He said, "New York. Yes, that's a very interesting place. Do you know a lot of New Yorkers who keep talking about the fact that they want to leave but never do?" And I said, "Oh, yes." And he said, "Why do you think they don't leave?" I gave him different banal theories. He said, "Oh, I don't think it's that way at all." He said, "I think that New York is the new model for the new concentration camp, where the camp has been built by the inmates themselves, and the inmates are the guards, and they have this pride in this thing they've built. They've built their own prison, and so they exist in a state of schizophrenia, where they are both guards and prisoners, and as a result, they no longer have, having been lobotomized, the capacity to leave the prison they've made, or to even see it as a prison." And then he went into his pocket and he took out a seed for a tree and he said, "This is a pine tree." He put it in my hand and he said, "Escape before it's too late." See, actually for 2 or 3 years now, Chiquita and I have had this very unpleasant feeling that we really should get out. And we really should feel like Jews in Germany in the late 30s. Get out of here. Of course, the problem is where to go, because it seems quite obvious that the whole world is going in the same direction. See, I think it's quite possible that the 1960s represented the last burst of the human being before he was extinguished, and that this is the beginning of the rest of the future now, and that from now on there'll simply be all these robots walking around, feeling nothing, thinking nothing, and there'll be nobody left almost to remind them that there once was a species called a human being, with feelings and thoughts, and that history and memory are right now being erased, and soon nobody will really remember that life existed on the planet.
I ended up having to run that whole clip.
Yeah.
What did you make
Was
of
a
that?
good clip. I mean, it's on the side of content, and even we wanted to get into theory too, right? Like, I think there is a certain theory expressed, but unfortunately not consciously. He cannot say Rousseau because what he's saying is Rousseau, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole New York image is society. And it appears like a genuine thought, a new thought, but it's like it has been for centuries. It has been the problem,
right?
right?
Yeah,
that's on the side of content. They cannot express that,
right?
or they don't do. We might speculate on why. I would say they can't, in a sense. But that has to do with a choice, and that's what makes it not a podcast. There's a whole formal approach to everything they do. Of course, we humans, like we as human beings, we subjects, we in a sense play ourselves, right? Of course, there's a certain aspect of us displaying our best selves right now, right? Like I have a super ego and it tells me to not speak gibberish to you in order for you to understand me, right? And I might have
All right, keep going.
So great, Doug. But there's a difference to consciously playing yourself or playing a character, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a different process of objectifying the whole process of playing and of deciding what the best way of like the truest way of playing this character would be.
Right.
And that goes hand in hand with the script, which is written in order to express a certain idea in a certain form. The script is written, they speak very fast. We have this theme of rhythm and beat coming up again and again in our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a certain, I would say, like that is an American beat.
Oh.
Right? Where it's like, so I met this man and he told me something very interesting. Right? I'm in a completely different tempo where everything I'm saying seems very important. And I seem very driven if I do that. Like I have to speak my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's a decision on the part of the actor and of the director. The director is choosing the frame. And while he might do it very minimalistically and in order to be like, okay, here are just some two guys sitting, he still chooses. He chooses when he's doing more of a close-up. And then he's widening it with the like New York concentration camp image. Because he might want the actor to seem smaller, as well as like his whole hand, he's doing this like, right? He's sitting there like this. And intuitively, I would say it does something to the scene if he tells it like this. It's very different from him being like this or something, right? Like doing the little thinker pose.
What do you think this is? This is he's self-protected a little bit. He's protected.
Yes.
But also he is comfortable and is, I think it's a position of some sort of authority.
He's confessing.
Is okay. So it's not.
I would say because it's both guarded and open at the same time and needy. It's not that, but it's this like friendly confession, right? It has the allure of the bar. I'm like, so Doc.
You know, it reeks of the encounter session or the 12-step program.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
exactly.
the 70s consciousness raising
yes
movement. And he is a character who has encountered that. He's been in, you know, he's dabbled in Buddhism and happenings and the more bohemian avant-garde version of the 12-step program and the encounter group and in S.
He's met Laurie. Like he's met Laurie.
Right.
Listen to her concert.
Yes, he's right. He's right. I'm sure actually he may have, because it's around the same time, right?
It's funny. Yeah.
Because she was coming up in like 78, 79 in New York and then hit big in 81. So this came out in 80. Yes, he's met Laurie and he knows Fluxus. But why doesn't he say Rousseau? Why doesn't he say Rousseau? I mean, he's an educated man. He knows who Rousseau is. But I think if you, first of all, it's a movie that does want to have a mass audience. So you don't provide footnotes. You don't quote philosophers.
Yeah.
You stay contemporary. But also, I don't think he'd want to say Rousseau. I think because Rousseau would be too much part of the prison.
Yeah.
To escape the prison, you have to go to the East. You have to go to the mystical. You can't just think about the tradition you're in.
That's what makes it spectacular.
Right.
Because by not saying Rousseau, it is more, it has this, like he is, and that's might be where the movie is kitsch, that the director and the actors are not aware that they are doing exactly that while they shoot this movie.
Right.
That's the difference. The true avant-garde would try to incorporate that, I would say. That's the difference in Beckett when Vladimir and Estragon know that they can do nothing but wait. And they problematize their waiting all the time.
Right. Well, to be
Beckett knows, I would say. Beckett knows.
Well, okay, there's two levels of this here. One is that there has been an acceptance of, I'm going to say it like this. There's been an acceptance and an incorporation of Dada into the mainstream culture by the time 1980 rolls around. What's Dada? Dada is fundamentally the rejection of Western civilization through art. So there's been an acceptance of a pure negativity instead of something more dialectical. To put it in formal terms, but what does it mean ideologically? It means turning up your back on the bourgeois revolutions and on the Enlightenment, in searching for other forms of thought that might be outside of the failure of the Enlightenment and modernity and bourgeois culture.
Yeah.
So that's been accepted ideologically, right? And then you're saying an avant-garde artist would include the ways in which they are reproducing a spectacular commodity in the movie. But the question I have is, would they have to be critical of this received opinion about bourgeois culture or not? And I don't think they.
No, I also think they don't. They don't need to be like, it doesn't have to be. I immediately want to add to what I said before. That can be done intuitively. It doesn't have to be consciously, ideologically critical. But there is a certain form of formal education that we're missing now. When Adorno and Horkheimer, when Adorno speaks about art, he's not only a theoretician, he's also composing. He's a composer.
Right.
And he's able to listen to music, which I can't do. I can't listen to music and appreciate it formalistically. If I listen to new avant-garde music, I have an intuitive feeling about it, but I cannot reflect my intuitive opinion, my intuition, with myself because I lack the formal education to know what they truly do with the notes.
Right.
Adorno could sit down and be like, oh, they are playing with this and replying to this and intervening in that. And so I think when both of us speak about the impossibility and the necessity for an avant-garde or even for art, right? Like maybe it is our responsibility to even defend kitsch in a sense, on the grounds of saying people a certain formal appreciation at least contains the promise of freedom,
right?
Instead of the completely reactionary position of being like, what even is art, this bullshit, which is a very common perception currently.
Right.
What's the use, right?
Yeah, I watched about 10 minutes of a video. I don't remember who made it, but it was about why does art suck today, right? and and it started out describing the way digital culture has altered the mode of production and distribution of art.
I saw that on my thumbnail, by the way. I didn't click it.
Yeah,
but
I
saw
clicked
that
it.
too.
Yeah. We both got fed this by the algorithm, and I thought it had something interesting to say, and I was listening to it, and then it shifted over from digital production and technology as a formal innovation and also intervention and constraint on today's art to the financialization and banks and neoliberalism, and equating the two things, and also telling a story of the increased financialization of the world and creating financial subjects out of us all. And I just thought, financial subjects, what about workers? I mean, they have to get wages and buy things, and so they're consumers. You mean consumers, you don't mean financial subjects. Exactly. And consumers are workers who aren't working but are trying to enjoy themselves, that have leisure time and can get more than so then it's like, okay,
who's a non-financial subject,
right? I mean, it's like, what you're describing is, it's like, yeah, you're describing capitalism and and a society dominated not really by finance ultimately, but by labor. So the explanation, the ideology, the critique was bad. It was incomplete. It was, I thought we had overcome it certainly by 2010. That like people like Zizek and Andrew Kleiman and even David Harvey to a degree had cut through the kind of morality play of bad Wall Street versus good Main Street and all of that. But it was still there, and there was nothing interesting formally about this video. It was just a guy like you. Like, there's nothing interesting about what this video that we're doing either, by the way, formally. But yeah, so
next time we're upside down, people.
Yeah, we'll be upside down, backwards. We'll be on dentist chairs instead of no, but
that would be cool, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry to get distracted.
No, that oh, by the way, that's all stuff that David Letterman did on this show at late night in the 80s. By the way, he did one where he during the show it turned 360 degrees, so for a certain point of the show everything was upside down, and people walked out like they were gonna fall. And he did one where he, instead of the usual chairs, they were in dental chairs, and he had, he put cameras on monkeys. I mean,
the whole deconstruction has been done.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
What is avant-garde art? What is art beyond deconstruction?
But you were saying deconstruction should be a part of it in a way, because you're saying you should include your own method of production as a visible trace in the work, in some way, right?
I would say you should be aware of it. I mean, like in our exploration so far, I would say like that's a step that like Brecht and Benjamin do, but Beckett already shows like the breakdown of that. He says like there's nothing productive here anymore, and yet something is happening. Yet things are produced. What the fuck? So we are in the situation of like, we can repeat Beckett. Of course, it's done all the time. It's also a mass commodity. It's like each city theater in Germany will play some Beckett, very bad Beckett, but still like. So I don't know, really. I don't know. I think it's not enough to disavow deconstruction as a tool.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's a problem if you say that's the thing, that's a fetishism. If you do it.
No, right. Obviously, it's not enough, because and it isn't just exactly how you should approach it. isn't clear, but it's not as though what I'm saying is I'm railing against naturalism or the creation of an illusion of fixed perspective or representational art or anything like that. I'm not saying, oh, you have to see the paint on the canvas. You can't be fooled into thinking it is what it's depicting. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
But opening up, pushing the viewer and the artist both into a position reflecting upon the methods that they're using, and that I guess goes across the gamut. It would be nice to know. I'd love to hear. I'm going to look for interviews with the director of this, the Andre. If he thought about Rousseau at all when he was writing the script, if he, what kinds of, how did he relate to modern life and democracy and liberalism and all of these things when he was creating this? Because the choices that were given in this is Wally, who's a playwright and who's got a girlfriend who's, I think, a waitress, and who likes having a morning cup of coffee and likes electric blankets and just doesn't want to be starving, like he's just concerned about his next paycheck. An artist. Right? He just wants, the creature comforts of his life to be maintained. And then there's Andre, who's old money director, who's traveled the world, brought home a shaman to live in his house at one point, has had wacky, weird hallucinations. And those are our two options. Like, you can live as a normal American, like Wally, worrying about survival, or you can have visions from the East, like Andre, or slip into paranoia, but
it's all a concentration camp. You people.
Right. But the thing is, what makes it a film and worth watching again, even today, is that it's also about the relationship between these two men and a real dialogue and conversation.
Yeah,
exploring their perspectives, and they matter to each other. In some way.
The question is, why does the Socratic dialogue between these two guys makes a comeback instead of the crazy experimental screech of Nietzsche being like a crazy schizophrenic modern subject?
Well, I don't know, but I have some suspicions, but I don't know. My suspicion is that the podcast and the YouTuber and the parasocial relationship is popular for the same reason that the old TV show The Love Boat was popular.
Yeah.
Which is The Love Boat was a show that was shown on, I think, Saturday night, right before Saturday Night Live, maybe. And it was for people who didn't go out.
Yeah.
Who didn't have a love life or a social life, really. But they could vicariously have one.
Yeah.
By watching these people on the boat fall in love and have dramas. And now where most of us, or a lot of us, don't really have the friend groups that will allow us to have interesting conversations. And like you said, the city doesn't provide the cafe experience quite the same way it did. And so it's being provided for us, but we're doing it right now. right? And
we should build
so-
it up, I think. I think our exploration, it's not a puzzle that we can
Right.
figure out between the two of us, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And it doesn't matter whoever we took on, if Chris came on or Benjamin, whoever. I
Mhm.
think we cannot just figure it out. Like
Right.
my intuition for a long time, like a fresh coming out of the acting school, just starting out as an actor, getting the first contact with the institution was, but where are the people trying out stuff? I thought this was the place where we try out stuff.
Right.
Right. And I think like experimentation is the order of the day.
Yeah.
I think we really have to, because we need also objects to critique, which are also not only backwards facing,
Mm-hmm.
but in a certain way forward facing. That would be the way to not immunizing ourselves. Is that how you say it in English? Immunizing ourselves.
Immunizing, yeah. Mhm.
Immunizing ourselves. Immunizing ourselves. But it would be a way, a handle to not fall into sentimentality.
Right. So the call here is, as we continue on with this podcast, is to, as we go along, it may be that we need to take more time. I need to take more time, and both of us, to do some post-production and think things through together when we get together, to experiment with this form, with these boxes, see what we can do. But also other projects where we'll try to experiment more. But I don't think we should reject the form that's dominant of the parasocial, you know, in like basically the Joe Rogan experience. Is
yes,
you know, he's popular because he gives people the feeling of being with their bros, with their friends, and
yes,
and being able to say anything. And you know,
I mean, our object,
maybe the world is flat. You know,
that's true.
whatever.
That's true. That's true. No, I mean, I don't mean necessarily the form we do this. That we can do too. But I was thinking more like the object we critique. Like, who is pushing? If we look at, like, for example, what we might misperceive even as Zoomer content, which of course you can say like, oh, in what tradition does it stand? How was the development? Everyone is a critic. But like, who's pushing the medium to the max, which often happens unrecognized in the underground.
Right.
So I want to speak to all the listeners who have any artist friends or people, send it to Sublation. Right?
Yeah. Make me stop referring to the same stuff from the 80s over and over again. Give me something new that will move me as much as My Dinner with Andre. Maybe it's impossible. Maybe I'm a closed, shelled off 55-year-old man, but make an effort. Send us some links. All right, you know, I've got to go because in about 25 minutes I'm going to be talking to Rob McCleary about his 1995 short story, Nixon in Space, with the Writers Workshop. Yeah, so
cool.
It by the time people are watching this, that will have already happened. But yeah, thank you, Rudy. I enjoyed this, and I'm just gonna end it here. Let's see. I'm gonna set the outro. Where is it? There we go. So this is our pitch. Give us money, and here you go. If you enjoyed this conversation, please do consider supporting us on Patreon. Our patrons help to make sure that Sublation Media can continue to provide interviews, videos, books, and articles that are critical of the left from the left. If you are tired of remaining stuck within bourgeois ideologies and politics, help us sublate them both.